Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're talking about a massive shift in the global economy. I mean, it's a change so big that the old maps, well, they're just not going to work anymore.
You know, for the past 30 years or so, we've all been told the world is flat, right? The idea was simple. If you had a great product and you were efficient, you could win in this big global market. Well, that map is completely out of date. And if you're still using it, you're basically steering your ship right into a hurricane. Think about it. All that digital traffic, every online purchase, all the cloud computing that powers everything, it's not open sea anymore. These aren't public waters. Nope, they're territories, and they have owners, new digital lords who rule the waves.
All right, let's get into what this new world actually looks like. Forget the idea of a global village. What we're seeing is something more like a bunch of digital kingdoms, each with its own high walls and powerful rulers.
And this brings us to a really critical question you have to ask yourself. If your entire business depends on someone else's platform, are you really a business owner, or are you just a tenant? Because the game is changing. It's less about the profit you make from what you sell and more about the rent you're forced to pay just to have a place to do business online. So, there's a name for this new reality, and it's a heavy one: techno-feudalism. And the source material we're digging into today calls it something even more specific, and I think more accurate: cloud feudalism. So what is that? Well, in this kind of system, the main way value gets extracted isn't through normal market profits anymore. It's all about cloud rent. Think about it. These are the fees you have to pay for access, for traffic, for every transaction, basically for the right to even exist in their digital space. Profit is what you get to keep after you've paid the landlord, and the rent always comes first.
And this creates a whole new power structure, a new kind of pyramid. At the very top, you've got the cloud lords, the ones who own the platforms, the cloud infrastructure, the big AI models. Then you have what's called vassal capital. These are all the businesses that are completely dependent on the cloud lords' platforms to survive. And at the bottom, well, that's pretty much the rest of us. We're the cloud serfs, and our data and our attention, that's the resource being farmed.
Okay, to really get how different things are now, we have to talk about the old map. The one that basically every business school taught for decades. We have to talk about the smile curve and why it's now completely obsolete.
This thing, the smile curve, was the playbook for globalization for ages. The idea was simple. See how it's shaped like a smile? All the value, all the big profits were at the ends, in R&D and design on one side, and in branding and marketing on the other. The actual making of the thing, the manufacturing in the middle, that had the thinnest profits. So the strategy was invent it, brand it, and outsource the messy middle part. But what happens when that whole model just breaks? And here's the kicker. In the age of AI, even those high-value ends of the smile aren't safe anymore. The cloud lords, with their total control over the platforms and AI, are now basically charging a tax on everything. That amazing R&D you're doing, that brilliant marketing campaign, it doesn't matter. It all runs on their turf, by their rules, and you're going to have to pay rent on it.
So, if the smile curve is a useless map, what's the new one? Well, this is where it gets really interesting. We need a new model for this new era, and that model is called the Pluvius curve. And Pluvius, that basically means rain. So this is the rain-making curve.
And whoa, look at this. The Pluvius curve shows just how radical the shift is. That gentle smile is gone. Instead, you've got these two massive, towering peaks with a huge, deep valley in between. This is the new landscape of where value is created. This visual just perfectly captures it. This is where all the value, all the rain, is falling now. It's not at the beginning and end of making a product anymore. Nope. All that value is being captured by two brand new centers of power. So let's look at these two peaks. On the left, you have the technical backbone. This is about raw power. It's about owning the core hardware, the chips, the foundational AI algorithms that everything else is built on. Then on the right peak, you have order output. This is the power to set the rules. It's about controlling the platform, owning the digital marketplace, and deciding who gets to play and how. And what's in that deep valley right in the middle? Well, that's where vassal capital ends up. These are all the businesses trying to build apps, sell things, create content on top of the cloud lords' platforms. It's the new trap. It's the new low-margin zone, where you're just one of many, you're easily replaced, and you're constantly paying tribute up to the guys who own the peaks. Okay, so that's the new map. It's kind of grim. So the big question is, how do you get out of the valley? How do you actually survive and maybe even thrive in this new world? It all comes down to a fundamental change in how you think about business.
See, the source material argues that most businesses are stuck with a farmer mentality. They think if they just work really hard on their little plot of land, they'll get a good harvest. But the cloud lords, they're not farmers. They operate with a pirate's logic. They don't care about your little crop. They want to control the entire ocean, own all the ports, and tax every ship that comes through.
So the big strategic takeaway is this. Stop trying to be the best farmer on land you're just renting. You have to stop paying for a spot at someone else's port. The goal, the only goal, is to build your own dock, even if it's a small one. A dock here is a metaphor for a sovereign space. It could be a unique system, a protocol, a tight-knit community, but the key is it's something you control.
So, how on earth do you do that? Well, first, you have to shift your thinking from just selling products to selling entire systems. You need to find a niche, a corner of the world where you can actually influence and change user behavior. And you have to master a new kind of rhythm. You move at lightning speed on your own core tech, but you are super slow and cautious about adopting anything that makes you more dependent on one of the cloud lords. It's really about that transformation from being a simple tenant to becoming your own sovereign.
And that really brings us to the final and most important point. AI isn't just another tool. In this new era, it is the law. The people who control the core AI, they're not just offering a service. They are literally writing the laws of our digital world. So, that leaves you with a choice, right? In this new kingdom, are you going to be a subject, just paying rent forever? Or are you going to be a citizen and start building your own dock?